Race drivers out there, all of you, people who are racing currently, people who are at the very top, people who are at the very bottom, if you do not know how to sell, then you're going to be on your ass. Nobody's going to care. Hi everyone, this is Enzo with another Race Driver Coach Show. By the intro, by the thumbnail, you know exactly what we're going to talk about today. Selling. Now, selling is something that everybody needs to master if they want to get somewhere in life. No matter what it is. And you've done it since you were a kid. If you wanted to eat something as a kid, you were hungry, what did you do? You had to sell your parents on the fact that they need to feed you. You did a bit of a negotiation. When you were really young, you screamed your guts out. You kept screaming until you got the food. That kind of technique obviously wears off, but you were learning how to sell, how to negotiate, how to get people to do what you want them to do in order for you to get what you want. You said to your mum or dad or whoever's looking after you or bringing you up, I'll be quiet if you give me some food. You didn't consciously know it, but you knew that you just had to scream and things would show up. The parents thought, if I want peace and quiet, I'm going to have to give this kid something to shut it up. An amazing negotiation there, an amazing sales pitch by yourself that usually worked. If you wanted your diaper changing, anything, you just screamed, it showed up. Normally. Now, as you go through life, that philosophy, or should I say that theory, doesn't really change. If you're a race driver wanting sponsorship, you kinda scream until you get what you want. That means you're giving companies or a sponsoring person or a driver program or a manufacturer, you're giving them what they want. And in turn, they're giving you what you want. It's a business transaction. This kind of sales or communication of this interaction is really important. It's something you must do because, as you know, I always say this, the only entities that are stopping you from getting what you want in racing and in life are people. If you can somehow get more people to say yes on your journey, say yes to what you want, you're going to increase your chances of success. However, if they keep saying no, if you haven't got the sales techniques to ask these people in the first place, so you can't even get a yes, you're not going anywhere. So it's interesting. So influencing people is one thing, but actually it's your ability to sell to them. It's your ability to create value, offer it to the people that can open doors for you or offer you something and give it to them, communicate it to them. But what I'm seeing in reality are drivers as a whole here. There's not many I know that do this. In all the time I've been coaching, not many drivers know this, apart from the ones that are succeeding without any help. The ones that succeed, they know how to sell. They get up off their backside, call people to offer them something in return for something for them. They do deals. They think up, how can I do a deal with this person so I get what I want and then they get what they want and then we move forward. Then I'll get to the next person. I offer them something they want and I get what I want. And eventually I get to where I've got to get. I'm bargaining all the way. Race drivers out there, all of you, people who are racing currently, people who are at the very top, people who are at the very bottom, if you do not know how to sell, then you're going to be on your ass. Nobody's going to care. Your ability to sell is basically the secret to success. Now, if you're not out there selling to somebody every day, I'd love to say every hour every day, then you're missing a trick. Because you know that you want to get that drive. You know that you want to get that sponsorship. You want to get the seat that's really in your mind that someone's got right now, but you know you're better than them. If you're in that situation, by the way, if you want a race seat, you know that someone's got it, but you've beat them in the past, then you use this. You talk to the engineer, the mechanic, the team manager, whoever is in control of that car, who says who goes and sits in that car, which driver gets that drive. You go talk to them and you sell yourself. How about that as being a topic today? How about that as being something that I'm going to ask you to do? Pick up your phone today, call a team that you want to race for and say to them, I'm your guy, I'm your gal. How does that feel when I say that? Straight away, you're like, I'm not sure if I can. They're not going to take me seriously. They're going to shoot me down. I haven't done enough. I haven't got any money. So what? I want you as an experiment, and I don't mean a racing seat that's probably, in F2, even though you've just barely driven a Formula Ford. There's no point doing that because he's going to fall on deaf ears. But if you see another drive within your championship and you want to drive that car, or the next tier up, you just call that team manager up and you sell yourself. You give them 2 reasons why you should be in that car next year. And just see how it goes. If you say you're going to work hard, they don't really care because every driver says that. But if you show them your results, if you talk to them about ways of getting into that car, what they're after, what do they need, and they'll probably say budget. You say, okay, is there anything else? Is there a teammate that I can bring with me that overpays, or basically is a gentleman driver and can invest in the team? There's always going to be something you can do to sell yourself to get in that seat. This is what I teach a lot of the times, right? Okay, you can get sponsorship, but there's another bloody 7 ways that you can get into the seat by doing deals with somebody. Everything is hinging and coming down to your ability to sell. If you want a sponsor, all you're doing, right, this is just to make it as obvious and as easy to understand as possible. All you're doing is going to a company because they have money and they have needs. You're going to a company and you're asking them what they want. And it's how you can provide them with what they want determines how much they'll pay you for it. And that's all you're doing. You're going around the world and you're saying to companies, what are you after? Advertising? Okay, I can give you advertising on this car, on this social media platform, on the TV, on someone else's car who's on the TV, and it's going to cost this much. What do you think? You should spend your life doing this. You should spend your life talking to people, asking them what they want and seeing if you can provide it. That's what salesmanship is. To be a salesperson doesn't mean you've got to turn up in a suit, you've got to do a presentation. To be a real good salesman, all you're doing is looking for what people want and being the provider of it, and then just communicating that. Drivers, please pick up the phone. Send an email if you want, but emails just don't get through. But pick up the phone and go and meet people. Have a nice elevator pitch where you say something for about 20 seconds and they're interested. Design that. We'll talk about elevator pitch later, pitches another day. But really this means you coming up to someone and banging them straight away with what you are there to offer them. How many times can you do this in a week? How many things is it that you want? How many things do you want in this racing? You want a race seat, you call the teams. You want a sponsor, you call the companies and say, what's your problem and how can I help you overcome it through sport? I can't hit this home hard enough. Every driver out there needs to become a master salesperson. You've got to sell to a race drive, a manufacturer, why you are the person for the job. You've got to sell a team. When you go to a race team, right? You go into a race team, you paid your budget. Now you've got to sell them on the fact that you should get the best engineer in the team, the best mechanic, the best car, the car that won the championship last year. This selling never ends. You've always got to convince people why you are the person for the job and why you can offer them the value they want. I want you to start this now. Who can you call today that's going to mean that you're going to have to sell to them? It's going to mean that you're going to have to ask them what it is that they want and how you could possibly make that happen. Please do this. Too many drivers are too quiet. Too many drivers are too nervous to have the ask. You're not getting where you want to get in racing because you're not asking often enough and you're not asking in the right way. That's it basically. I've seen so many drivers that are not really that good and they've still made it into paid drives. If they can do it, I know you can do it. But what they were good at was selling. And sometimes it wasn't even they had to think about how to sell or what to say. They just happened to pick up the phone, ask for the drive at the right time. And that team just said, oh yeah, our current driver's just let us down. We need someone, can you jump in? This is the grey part of selling. If you're calling every single day to a team, a sponsor or someone like that, it's amazing how you might just time something perfectly. The stars align and all of a sudden you find out that team now needs a driver just for one weekend, just to jump in and go. But also, if in a week's time they get let down, they'll remember your call from a week ago and go, that's when Rob called me, and they'll call you back. You have to be really in everybody's ear all the time if you want to make it as a race driver. You have to piss them off, like, oh, it's you again. Much prefer, and so would team owners, they'd much prefer a driver banging on about them once a month, constantly phoning, is there any drives available? Is there something I can do? Can I work for the team for you in return for a bit of a decreased budget so you can run my car if I run it myself and you just take it to the track for me? And you're constantly phoning them up all the time. This is how people succeed. If you look at the Sylvester Stallones and the Richard Bransons, you look at how they operated in the early days, it was this kind of hustle. It was talking to everybody, getting out there, getting their face out there, getting their voice out there constantly. And you have to do it for ages before you get a reward. But I'll tell you what, you increase your chances of success so much compared to if you just sit at home and don't do anything. And you just wish. And you just play the law of attraction game. I'm going to be a race driver. I'm going to be a race driver. It doesn't work without the action. You need to call everybody up, offer yourself, and you'll start to learn then how to speak to people, how to cold call. No excuse. Who can you call today? And call them.